My name is Jules Williams, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
What are your pronouns? She, her.
My name is Amber Fitzgerald, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Hi, my name is Kenny Wynn. My pronouns are he, him, his.
Tracy Gibbs. Oh, she. I'm sorry.
All good. What are your pronouns?
She, her.
My name is Elias, and I go by he, him, his.
Grace, she, her.
My name is Lena. I use she, her.
AJ, they, them.
My name is Michael Hunter, and my pronouns are he, him.
My name is Jordan. I use she, her pronouns.
My name is Alexis, and my pronouns are she, her.
Do you consider yourself someone with privilege?
No.
Yes, I would consider myself a person with a degree of privilege. I am an African American male, and there's a lot of discrimination that comes with being African American, obviously. But there is a certain degree of privilege and influence that I get from being male, which is not, it's not something that's like actively felt. Like it's not like on a day-to-day basis I'm like wow, like this happened to me, and it is a result of me like having privilege as a male. It's often very unidentifiable, if that makes sense. But yes, I would definitely say I'm a person with a degree of privilege.
Yes, definitely. I'm white. I live in the U.S. I have a lot of opportunities. I'm also from an upper middle class family.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a white male, so I feel like I have a lot of privilege over a lot of other people.
Yes. So I am a white female, straight passing, and I come from a place of money. I have enough money to like be able to do whatever I need. I'm physically able, and like in today's society, like the only thing that people would honestly see as not being privileged is probably like my gender, or the fact that I'm a woman.
I do. I'm Hispanic, technically. Like, my mom was born in Costa Rica. Like, I'm half Hispanic. I struggle claiming that as part of my identity, because I've never faced discrimination for it. Like, I don't speak Spanish. I don't have, like, a strong tie to my culture, so I feel like I'm a white Hispanic, too, so I have privilege, like, in that sense.
Have you ever felt discriminated against in the classroom or in school in general?
Yes, but I didn't realize it, kinda, until I was much older, because, like, it's more along the lines of, like, being female, because, like, it might sound silly, but, like, in elementary school, we would always, or, like, teachers would always be, like, if they needed, like, a box to be moved, or, like, just something to do with, like, moving something, they'd always be, like, where's, like, the strongest boy to, like, move this box or whatever, but, like, I wanted to move the box, and I was fully capable of, like, being able to move the box of, like, whatever, the box of books. But it's like, why can't you just ask for, like, a strong kid? Like, why does it have to be a boy? Like, obviously I don't know what it's like now, and if teachers stop doing that more, or if they still do, because I haven't been in elementary school in a long time, obviously. So that's what I would say. I have felt discriminated against in, like, schooling and all that jazz. I have dyslexia, and I know my teachers weren't the best with me with my reading skills, and I know some teachers were mean to me with my reading skills because I wasn't diagnosed with dyslexia at that age. I just had, like, a reading disability, and there was, like, other things, and bullying a little bit involved, and not all, in, like, early grade school and stuff like that. So with teachers, I definitely felt discriminated against for just, like, educational purposes, like, with dyslexia.
No.
Not as far as I can think of. However, most of the time when I was in class, I was living mask at the time, and was also straight passing, so.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been discriminated against. I've been talked down upon, and it's a lot to do with, well, being a male and being Asian in general, and I think that discrimination happens whether we intend for it to happen or we like it or not. It happens, and obviously it's not great, but from personal experience, yeah.
Plenty of times, especially like moving to Naperville, where it's not like as diverse, I guess. But now, like throughout the years, it's gotten like a ton better. I'm more comfortable like just being around people, and I don't know, it's nice.
Have you ever felt discriminated against in the workplace?
Yes, as an immigrant, sometimes it's harder because you need to prove yourself like even more. You need to work like harder than people who live here, only because you're in a culture that it's not yours. So people sometimes don't respect you because of where you came from.
It's okay. I'm a server, so being a girl server compared to a guy server, I think is definitely different. Male customers, they hit on you like all the time at the bar, at like your tables. Doesn't care, like they don't care how old you are. They don't care, like they're just creepy. Like I had someone, it wasn't even my table, they called the restaurant back to ask about like my relationship status. Like that's just weird. And like I had a manager there that was like honestly super creepy. He like towel whipped me one day. I was like, I definitely don't think you would do that if I was a guy. Let me be honest. You never did that to Aiden. You're not doing that when Aiden's around. Like creepy stuff like that. But I don't know. I guess it's like so common sometimes that it's like we're just like, oh, that's so weird and creepy. But it's like it's kind of like gross, like for real. Like it's definitely gross, but.
Yeah, from time to time I do work at a golf course, and the ladies there sometimes do get a little too touchy, specifically one woman. I feel kind of, how do I put it, uncomfortable in the workplace due to that sometimes. So.
Have I ever felt discriminated against in the workplace? Yes.
Yes, for my age. I don't get taken as seriously because I'm younger.
No, but I think I've also gotten very lucky with jobs, especially because I work in like special ed settings. At school, I work with the blind students. We're TILIA, Heart of Illinois Low Incidence Association, so that's deaf and blind. And then back home, I'm going to be working the home district, Naperville 203, as a paraprofessional. So yeah, all very open, welcoming communities.
Have you ever felt discriminated against in public?
There have been like microaggressions, I guess, but not something like that's been like slurs yelled at me from like out of the window, thankfully. But there have been like small things here and there.
In public, I feel like most of the discrimination I've experienced is, in school, like at the hands of students or even teachers in some cases. In public, no, not so much. I think, like I said, just experiencing, those like high overt degrees of racism just like on the street, just suddenly I think is something that my parents experienced more than me. So out in public, just like walking down the street, not exactly, no. But yeah, not exactly.
So I'm Italian, and from time to time I do get called derogatory terms. They're mainly directed as jokes, but they do kind of come off wrong. I don't really take much offense to it, but catch the wrong person.
Yes, I've been like catcalled or I've been followed home before.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, but like Definitely, but it's mostly been, thankfully, minor things. Again, like comments and jibes. I don't actually, that's not a word, is it? Jabs, that's the word. Comments and jabs that are like, you definitely know where they're coming from, but they're not anything that's been directly like I needed to engage with, so it's not been nothing like notable.
Do you know the term intersectionality?
No.
I do not.
I am not aware of it off the top of my head, no.
I do not. I'm sorry.
No.
I do not. No.
I do not.
No. Yeah, it's the combination of race, sex, class, gender, and like discrimination of it.
Yeah, it's like a crossover of just like different aspects of cultures.
Intersectionality is basically the concept of whenever different power systems kind of overlap, so power systems related to race and gender, how those overlap with each other, and how the overlapping privilege or lack thereof changes experiences.
So it's like the point where all of the different parts of your identity like come together, and so like for me it's the point where like my disability interacts with being queer, interacts with like being white, because that would be different for how it interacts with disability and being queer and being black, for example.
So intersectionality is when somebody identifies with multiple marginalized identities and they sort of work in combinations that make discrimination on something worse, generally.
Intersectionality was a term coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, and how she describes it is it's basically a lens for seeing the way in which various forms of inequality often operate together. So basically what it means is how like a black woman is discriminated against differently than a black man or even a white woman. So like the different discriminations that we think of, like race and gender combined, is basically what that means. Have you ever been dismissed because of something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I probably don't want to go into full detail about it, but yes, I have been, and I think that you're right. There are, like, being a black man and a black woman is completely different. You can be discriminated in many ways because of that, because of the different genders and because of the different race and all that. So, yeah, definitely.
Probably. I just really didn't pay attention to it, but I'm quite sure I have.
I've never personally been dismissed for it due to the fact that I'm like not really open about it to a certain point, because I'm afraid of being like ostracized for it or something. But like I said, it's gotten better and I'm more comfortable with who I am now, so yeah.
Not that I can directly think of. No.
I wouldn't say combined. I would definitely say gender, but I would not say combined with like being Caucasian and being a woman or something like that. Just definitely, but yeah.
Do you think that being a woman and having dyslexia is different than being a man and having dyslexia?
No, I don't think it would be any different per se. No, I don't think so, because like I know like both my parents have it, and I don't think it would have been different for my dad than it would be for me.
Is this something that you've noticed happening to others?
Yeah, I've had a couple of my students like open up to me just about how like other people, kind of like how I was saying, there's like society sees it as like different levels of disability, even though that's not really a thing. They'll be like, oh, since you're like not as disabled, then they like won't see that. So then if it impacts other parts of their identity, so especially like all of my students are white at school, so they're like, oh, we're just like going about in society and we look like we're just doing our thing, so unless we have our cane out, then we have like that privilege of just like walking around looking like we're like normal. And then all of a sudden someone will come up and they'll be like, oh, well, they're not, they're different. So it's just the stigmas around it.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say I would say yes. I would say it's hard for me to think about for myself. Like I haven't really thought of it combining in that way. But I would say the combination of being African American and a woman is definitely something that has its own sort of meaning to it. Like that's definitely an experience that's separate from being a woman and being, you know, any other sort of race, or being African American and being male. Like it's a very, you know, distinct sort of thing. And there is a sort of what's the way to describe it? There's a sort of psychology in the Black conscious, I think, that changes the way that gender interactions work. But yeah, it's definitely something that I would say I've seen happen to like my mom or something like that. But yeah, I definitely think that's something that I've observed for other people.
Yeah, it's just, it always starts off as, it's always little things, but like, it's things that you notice. Just like me, my friend Shabam, we were like the only like not white or not Asian people in our like AP or honors classes, and that's okay. Like, and when I took a lot of regular classes, it was just, you definitely see where people have more opportunities and don't.
I think yes, because of the stuff with George Floyd, like he was a black man, so he got like discriminated against because like with the stereotype, I guess, of like they're dangerous or whatever, but they're not. You just group them in together like that, so then it's the same, even though they shouldn't be. So, and obviously that's just like one, but there's like plenty of others, especially, I don't know, yeah.
How do you use the privileges that you have to help others without the same privileges?
I don't think I use my privileges in the right way. I don't think I use them at all, and I know I should. I live in a white suburban town, and I don't really come up with any, like, I don't like run into any like race conflicts in my area. So I feel like I should, like, if when I do move, like, I should help out, or like not help out, but I should like contribute in a good way. Is that, I don't know, that sounds bad, I don't know.
Well, that's like the interesting thing about privilege, isn't it? Like, it's strange because in somebody using their privilege, it's almost like a reassertion of privilege, if that makes sense. So it's always been kind of hard for me to see how I could go about using my privilege to help, you know, people who don't have the same privilege that I have without reinforcing it in a certain sense.
Well, I think I haven't done as much of a great job as I think I would, and I think that I should do more. I think that knowing that I have privilege and all that, especially like something as simple as being able to walk the streets at night and go out for a run at night, is definitely something that comes to mind when I think of privilege. Not every female can be able to say that they can do that, and I think that knowing that, I think there might be a way for me to kind of just reflect and think about how I can help others. Maybe something simple as, I don't know, informing others that there are people by and that there are people that are in need of help and all that. And I think that that's mainly it. I don't know what else I can do, and I think that that's something I need to learn, and I think I need to just take some time and kind of look back and see if there's something I can do about it.
So, I mean, I kind of use my job as my, like, easiest way of being able to advocate for others, because I do kind of hold the power in some sense. So I'll hear people walking down the hallway and using the F slur or saying, like, that's gay in, like, derogatory ways, and I'll just stop them and I'll be like, hey, that's not okay. We can't be saying things like that. Or I've actually heard some of the cis white men say, like, women shouldn't do things, like, shouldn't be able to, hold offices, women shouldn't be in politics, and, like, just kind of, like, being able to stand up and educate students on things like that.
Do you have anything else to add?
Well, I think the one thing about this that kind of bothers me is a lot of people say that this problem now used to not happen decades ago, or that it's worse decades ago, but I think it's the same. I think it just looks different. I think people are smarter about how they discriminate against people, and it just looks different than it did 20 years ago, but that doesn't mean it's worse or better. I think it's pretty similar.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm good.
Perfect, thank you.
Of course.
No, that's about it.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
I just think more needs to be done as far as discrimination. A lot of people think that it doesn't exist when it does, and I just think more needs to be done about it.
Perfect, thank
That's
you.
it. You're welcome.
No, I can't really think of anything.
That's all, thank you.
Awesome.
No.
Perfect, thank you.
Not necessarily. I think that, discrimination and the term intersectionality is pretty important. I think that there should be more light on it, and I think that someone who's hasn't really thought about it yet and hasn't really picked up much on this term, I think it needs to be given more awareness, and I think that there's a lot of people out there that are suffering and that are discriminated against, and it's a story that not a lot of people are able to tell. And I think that once this goes more into the public and more people find out about this and are aware of this term and the effect it has on people, I think that it's going to become a bigger subject for people to really just dive into more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Perfect, thank you.
I think the only thing we need to, people need to start understanding is when you don't say something, you're being, bad, people who are saying, bad things. So if someone is, being discriminated and you don't say anything, don't try to defend, you're being, bad as the person who is doing it. So I think if everybody start, defend people about it, the other ones won't say anything because they'll be, afraid. Because most of people will be defending the small groups. So I think that's it. People should try to do their part too, and not only don't say bad things or stay quiet when it happens. So
Perfect, thank you.
I don't think so.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
I just think that things do need to change, and it's why can't we all be seen as equals? Because we're all still people. Just skin color doesn't make anyone less of a person, and so why should they be treated differently? And same with females and males. We've proven, not that we should have had to prove anything, but we can do just as much. And it's not back then when females were the only ones running the house and then the men were working. It's not that anymore, so why should people view it as that or say that women shouldn't do this or that? And again, I think just things need to change, and I don't get why they haven't. It's just kind of silly, I guess, is the best way for me to put it. But yeah.
Thank you.
Racism sucks.